we have Lexi Cheng on the podcast today. She is a cosmic identity coach.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Lexi Cheng, a cosmic identity coach and astrologer for creative entrepreneurs who are feeling misaligned in their business or they're navigating a identity shift or a pivot. And I help them use their natal chart, the cosmic design they were born with, as a blueprint for their personal brand and business strategies. I work with cosmic timing and nervous system regulation and the cosmos so that they can trust themselves, feel more confident, and shine in their own spotlight. And I'm also based in Bend, Oregon, just like Sasha. Wild, well, and wealthy event. It's a tongue twister. In November, I moved to Bend a couple years ago, and I was like, I need to finally start meeting some new people because just moving to a new city and not having many friends, it's just hard to do, especially as a 35-year-old woman. It's just different when you work from home. You don't have people that you meet at the office or places to meet new people. So I went to this event and almost didn't go because I was scared of meeting new people. And if I never went, then I wouldn't have met Sasha and she wouldn't have invited me to speak at her event and I wouldn't be at this podcast. So I was just really proud of myself for doing that, even though I didn't want to go. And it just goes to show that it's so important to just really put yourself out there, even when you feel absolutely terrified to do it.
Essentially, you've gone through a huge identity up level. Would you have done that event even a year ago?
Probably not. Definitely not a year ago, for sure.
Well, I would love to hear, and the audience would love to hear, where are you now and what identities did you have to walk through to get to this moment right now?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur since 2014, which is a very long time. My husband and I started a creative studio back then. And at the time, we were photographers, designers, videographers. We kind of just did everything. And our dream was to work with outdoor companies. After we graduated college, we sold all of our belongings and bought a Sprinter van and built it out into a solar-powered Sprinter van design studio that we just drove around the US, and we worked with a lot of outdoor brands, and that's how we started. And we had a huge YouTube following, so we started vlogging all of our van life adventures, and our channel blew up because I think at the time in 2016, that's when van life was super popular and so cool. So our YouTube channel blew up. We kind of had some YouTube fame for a bit there, and people loved our brand so much. They liked our design, they liked our website, they liked our YouTube intro. And so we started to do branding for other YouTubers. And then that kind of led us to our design studio, Dynamo Ultima. So 2020, we quit van life, which was a huge part of our identity for 3 years. I feel like when you build this whole personal brand and identity and you have this kind of fame online and you completely remove that, it was probably the most difficult part of changing in an identity shift because everything that I thought was gone. I wasn't cool anymore. I wasn't this cool van life person who traveled the world. I was just living in downtown Portland and running a design studio. Yeah, that was really hard. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So we just kind of started doing the design business because that's what was making us money. And we were working with a lot of people we met on YouTube. But I just felt a little unfulfilled. I was like, I don't really want to be a designer. That's not my thing. So in 2020, I got a coaching certification and didn't really know what to do with it. And I got certified in T-tapping, Jing, NLP, all those fun modalities. And I tried to launch my coaching business then, and I just didn't feel super confident. Basically, from 2020 to 2024, our design business blew up, and that's where all my energy went. And I completely just stopped doing the coaching and started doing design mentoring for other designers, which kind of felt like coaching. And then a big thing is I started using astrology with my design clients for their brands. So that was super fun. So I was trying to integrate what I really wanted to do into my business that was working. And basically in 2024, that was when I moved to Bend and my whole life changed. And I was like, I do not want to be a designer anymore. What am I doing with my life? Basically another identity shift by moving to a new city and feeling so disconnected from my career. I kind of asked myself, do I want to be doing this for 10 more years? No. And why did I shove this dream of mine to the back burner and just continue to do design business? Obviously, I think it was mostly money because that's where the money was coming from.
We love the money.
Yeah, pretty much. I went through a lot of identity shifting by moving to a new place. And then I went through a lot of loss and really hard times while I was living here in Bend. And I feel like grief and loss just strips everything back and makes you look at your life and you're like, why am I not doing what I want to be doing? So beginning of 2025 is when I fully went all in with this new path. And yeah, it's still been a journey. I'm still a designer, like still doing design work, and also running the cosmic identity coaching business too. So long story short, that is all the identity shifts I pretty much went through.
Yeah. I really
Which
think
is a
it's
lot.
important to talk about the journeys of how we build businesses because I think some people are like, well, you just had it figured out from the beginning. And I think that is just like the furthest thing from the truth. And I find it really interesting that all of these like identity shifts for you were like actually pretty massive endings and massive beginnings. I guess I'm also curious about the nuances and the identities in the chapters of you owning the van, you being a van YouTuber, of you going all in 2020 to 2024 in the design business with your husband, and then now, like, fully stepping into cosmic identity coach. So what do you feel are, like, more of those, like, almost, like, subtle identity shifts that happen for you? Like, one of the things that you mentioned in your onboarding was this prophetic dream you had, and then you moved to Bend. Like, you don't seem to have a problem, like, when you know, you go, and I feel like that is actually incredibly hard for a lot of people to do because, well, I think we're very disconnected from our bodies and our wisdom and our intuition, but to then know and then take action is like incredibly courageous in my opinion. I guess I'm really curious about those subtleties of the identities to like you creating enough space to even have the download, to have the trust, to have the wisdom to just go after what you want to be creating in this life.
Yeah. Well, I think back to the van life one because that was super intense because we were doing that for 3 years and it was, a big part of our identity, my identity. And I was kind of the star of our YouTube channel. And so how I basically decided to quit van life was all these things just started happening. Our van like got stuck in a huge snow ditch in Colorado and then I sprained my ankle and I had a Epic pass. It's like a snowboard pass to all the mountains in like Colorado and all over the US. And I only went snowboarding once with that pass and I sprained my ankle. And then basically my dreams of living in a van and being a ski bum were crushed. And so the sprained ankle and just all of the issues, like our pipes froze and like all this stuff happened all at once. And I just looked at my husband. I'm like, I'm done with this. And we're done with van life. And it was like super sudden. Like all of these things happened and then we were done. So we pretty much just drove all the way home to Oregon through a blizzard throughout the whole US at the time. And then it was like, okay, now we're done with van life. What do I do? So I guess that wasn't like a tiny thing. But the thing about Bend, when I decided to move to Bend, is I just felt there was like a lot of change happening in my life with my friendships and just the life I built in Portland just didn't feel the same anymore. And our lease was at the house we were living in was being sold. So we had to like find somewhere else to move. And we were looking around in Portland and couldn't really find anything. But honestly, Bend didn't even cross our minds at the time because we liked our life in Portland. But I had a dream. I don't know how to describe the dream, but it pretty much told me to get the fuck out of Portland. And I woke up and I started looking at Zillow immediately after because I felt like that dream was one of those dreams where it's like a message or it's telling you something. And it was like really important and intense. Like I have to act on this right now. So I looked at Zillow and then the next day, my husband and I drove to Bend and the house we're in right now, we like signed the lease the day we saw it. So we literally moved to Bend in like the span of a couple weeks. And all of our friends were like, we didn't know you were moving. So I don't know, maybe that's the manifestor energy. It's kind of like all of a sudden it just like comes as like an intuitive hit, either through a prophetic dream or like a series of events, or just like a feeling. Like I feel like something needs to change. But yeah, the best thing about that was my husband is into my psychic magical self and he was like, hell yeah, let's go. If your dream said we gotta go, we gotta go. So
That's so cool.
yeah.
We didn't even get into the human design aspect yet. Lexi is a 6'2" with emotional authority. And what I love so much about you being like YouTube famous or you're the star of the show on your YouTube channel is the fact you literally have the famous, like the celebrity channel, which is the 1222, the channel of gracefulness. And I'm like, that's accurate. You just have a charm to you, you know?
Yeah, that definitely feels true because my husband, he didn't want to be in the YouTube videos. It was mostly me. But with those YouTube videos, I had to deal with so many mean comments. I had dealt with like some cystic acne and like went off birth control and I had like all this skin issues and people were so mean. Like if they would comment on my skin, they would on how I talk. They said I had vocal fry and upspeak, which I do. But at the time I didn't know what that was. And I was like, wait, what?
Wait,
And then
what
it
is
made me all self-conscious. So YouTube is a tough place to be. And honestly, like being so out there in the world really crushes your soul when people really talk about the things that are like your deepest insecurities and they leave comments about it. Um, so that was hard, but obviously that was almost 10 years ago. So I have done a little better, but I still haven't been back on YouTube since then.
Oh my god, that's actually crazy. I just had a
Yeah.
reel go viral and mostly everyone's nice, but everyone's like, "Your voice is annoying," or
Well,
or like, "You're 35, stop using the words girly pop," and I'm like, "You have
people are
24
mean,
followers and you're
honestly.
on private." Mm.
They're just projecting their
That's
sadness onto
that's
you.
all literally, I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. What's going on in your life?"
I used to respond because I was a little spicy. So I like respond to everyone and be like mean back. And then my husband would go in there and like delete my comments. And then he was like, "You're not allowed to comment anymore on YouTube or even look at it." People can even look at it. I was like, okay. Because it was
Good.
really like getting into my head.
Yeah, and that's really good for your mental health.
That's a hard part about having
Seriously.
a big following and people watching your life.
Yeah. So as far as because you obviously know your astrology very, very well, and this is what you're a genius at, what is ruling your 10th house? So 10th house is what you can explain. I'm asking about your career though, like invisibility.
Yeah, so my 10th house is Taurus, and then my midheaven is actually in Aries in the ninth house. So I kind of have a duo type of career path. Taurus is kind of like that more stable, structured stability, that type of energy. And then Aries is kind of that bold, what am I trying to say? That bold, independent, like fire starter energy. And in the ninth house, that means it can show up as like being an educator or a teacher or a guide, which I think makes a lot of sense with like what I do. I feel like people um I don't know, like people often message me like, "Oh, you started like this Instagram challenge and it made me want to start going on Instagram more." So I feel like when I do something and initiate, which I think maybe is that Aries plus the manifestor energy, other people are like, "Ooh, I want to do that too." So yeah, I find it interesting. The Taurus part of my career, I think kind of really speaks to the artist and the design part of my path, I think. Um, but yeah, I kind of more connect with the Aries, the Aries energy.
Well, aren't you a Leo rising?
Yes, I'm a Leo rising and I have a stellium in Leo, which I have like my sun, Jupiter, and moon, and a couple asteroids and things all in that house in my first house, which means when you have so many planets in your first house, it means that that sign is really hyper present in your personality. So the Leo probably really like comes out more than any of my other placements. But I also have a stellium in Virgo and a stellium in Capricorn. So I have like lots of Leo and a lots of earth energy.
Wow. So when I'm in presence with you, I'm a Taurus sun, and when I'm in
Yeah.
presence with you, I you feel very grounded to me.
Yeah.
Like not like there's people who you meet and you're like, "God, you're a Leo." And there's people you meet who have a lot of Leo in their chart, but they feel really grounded.
I'm a humble, grounded
Yeah.
Leo.
Yeah. Maybe I
I'm
just
not
don't
the Leo that's like, "Look at me."
you're like, "But look at my closet. It's a rainbow."
Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, but look at this."
Yeah. I love it. So I would love to hear a bit more too about how you got into the energetics and the astrology. So one note I do want to put in here is Lexi and I connected because we're both utilizing energetics, her astrology, me human design, and then at the intersection of business and branding. So we're like, oh my God, we have to talk, obviously. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
just curious how you came upon astrology in a way where you're like, it's me, I need it, and now let's integrate it into everything I know how to make money with.
yeah. Well, I mean, I thought it was really cool because when I met you, I was like, it feels like we're going through like the same thing. Like we're both designers and we both want to like do this different thing that's about energy and kind of things that aren't so tangible when we're so used to creating all these tangible things and deliverables. So yeah, that was really fun to meet somebody who's like literally in the same boat as me. um, but I'm trying to think of when I first started astrology. I mean,
Well,
2021 was when I
cute.
first actually started using it for brand design clients. And before that, I was just kind of I took like courses on it and I was like studying it, setting my own chart. I think when you become an astrologer, you have to like understand your own chart first before you can kind of read everyone else's. Um, and I remember the first time I like read about Leo rising because I always like I feel like a Virgo deep down to my core, but there's so much about me that is not Virgo. Like people always talk about the cleanly, organized stuff, and that is not me. I am not clean. I hate doing the dishes. You should see my closet. It's always a fucking mess. I always have clothes everywhere. But then if you look at my closet, it's color coordinated. So it's kind of like a weird, there's like
Very.
some Virgo in there, but then there's some chaos. But when I saw the Leo in my chart and how many placements I had in there, I was like, oh my God, that like makes so much sense with like me and who I am. And it just kind of opened my eyes to like how astrology is more than just your sun sign. And I started like looking at career because I felt kind of lost with all these identity shifts. And I was like, I don't really know what I'm meant to be doing. Am I meant to be a designer? And when I looked at my natal chart, it just kind of showed me just all of my strengths and gifts and things that I'm here to do. And it just kind of gave me that validation that the things that I've been thinking about doing, like this identity work and astrology and reading people's charts and nervous system regulation and just making people feel good and confident and like love themselves more and like take up space and shine in their own spotlight. That just like makes me so happy. Um and I saw all of that in my astrology chart too. And then I guess one of the biggest things is I started looking at my actual history with my transits. And a lot of my transits, like I looked at when we quit van life, and there was some crazy stuff going on in my chart then that actually like lined up exactly with the events that went on in my life. And that's kind of when I started believing like believing in astrology, meaning like astrology is the real deal because yeah, there was just a lot of stuff that aligned with the historical moments in my life. And then I started looking at the history of like the collective and I was like, oh wow, there's a lot of alignments that make sense with the history of things that have happened in the world. And yeah, pretty much those are all the things that really kind of led me to this. And yeah, I guess I don't remember when I actually like first started like getting into it though. I think I've always been into it
Yeah,
because I
I think
remember in high school I like had a little astrology book about your sun sign.
yeah, I think I had, like, People magazine or, like, one of those, like, trash
Yeah.
Cosmopolitan, like, just reading but I always was
Ooh, I
like, I don't resonate with Taurus. Like, the older I get, the more I resonate with Taurus, but I
yeah.
always resonated way more with, like, Libra. I'm a Libra
Yeah, I
energy.
think that makes sense because I felt the same way. I was like, "Ugh, I don't really feel like Virgo." I didn't connect with it, and I think as you do get older, you kind of connect with it more because it's just kind of a deep embedded root of who you are in a sense.
Yeah,
And when you're
100%.
trying to figure who you are when you're younger, it's kinda like, I don't really connect with that, but you don't really know who you are yet.
Well, I was also looking at your chart today too, and I love that you're doing like so much identity work because your core gift is in gate 7 or 47 of reinvention. And it's literally like up leveling, up leveling, up leveling your identity because you're like one of your biggest fears is like not living your life to the fullest, right? Or to your fullest potential. And I love that not only are you constantly pushing yourself and curious enough to go and up level, you're also pushing other people to think differently about their businesses because I think a lot of the time in my opinion. A lot of people are like, the strategy, the data, the ROI. And it's like, none of that actually matters if you don't feel good creating it, right? It's like, I think there's just so much to be said about energetics in your business. Just would love to hear more about how you are using astrology in your business and any beliefs or philosophies around energetics in your business or in business in general. Like, what is your like, your like signpost of like, this is what the hill I will die on because I believe astrology, etc.
Well, I don't know. I went through my whole entrepreneur life following what everyone else was doing, and, that can work for a period of time, but there comes a point when you're doing all these other people's strategies and using all their formulas and doing all the things that people say to do, and it doesn't feel like you. It just feels like a mishmash of a bunch of shit, and it doesn't you don't feel connected to it, and when you don't feel, like, really fucking stoked and excited about what you're doing and creating, then that's going to really reflect in how people respond to you in some way. Like, they can just feel your energy. Like, are you really, like did this come from your heart and soul, or did you just kinda, like, steal it from someone else or mishmash it from all these other ideas? Like, I think it's just really important to kind of remember who you are, and I think astrology really brings you back to looking at just how you were wired and the way you were born and how you just, like, naturally shine and do your best work. And so I think you can use your astrology chart to create a business that's so much more aligned with just you and who you are. And you can actually use your astrology to create strategies that make more sense for you. For example, I know that because I have so much Leo in my chart, that I'm kind of my strategy is honestly just sharing the way that I do things. And then that's gonna, really, like, draw people in. So that's why I think the YouTube channel made sense and why people loved it so much, because I was just authentically sharing what I was doing. I wasn't really using any particular strategies or things that I saw from anyone else. I was just talking about my life and, "Hey, this is how I'm doing this," and sharing about my journey, but that won't really work for everyone else. Like, I know that works for me because that is just kind of in my chart, and I'm that charismatic kind of energy. But, if someone doesn't have that in their chart, then maybe starting a YouTube channel and doing vlogs is, like, not meant for you, even though you feel like you should. So I think astrology can really, yeah, just give you that permission to do those things that you want to do and then say no to the things that aren't really aligned for you. Because I think it's so easy to be so influenced by everyone else, especially because of how much we're scrolling on the internet and consuming other people's content. Like, it's so easy to be influenced by other people. So your chart can really just kind of bring you back to yourself and be that grounded foundation in any times of chaos. Um, and one of the things that I'm using right now in this particular identity shift is I've been, like, in a transition of my career. So my husband and I have been running Dynamo Ultima Design business for a long time. And last year we both were feeling like we just, like, didn't really want to do it anymore, or we wanted to change how we do it. And that was really difficult just because, obviously we're married and this is our business and our life and our bread and butter. And we, created this whole thing together. Um, but we just had a realization. I think we each need to do our own individual things. So starting to do my coaching business, obviously I feel like shifting between businesses, there's going to be a lull in both businesses, like, because you're kind of doing both things and all your energy is in either one. And I was, not making as much money as I was, and that was just so humbling and difficult. And there was a lot of times when I was creating stuff for this coaching business and I wasn't getting sales, and things just didn't feel like they were working out. I feel like if I didn't have my astrology transits for the year ahead, that I would have completely given up because of how it looked, on the outside. Like, things, I wasn't blowing up. I wasn't, making $10,000 a month. I wasn't really even, like, booking that many clients. Um, and that kind of would have made anybody give up. But I kept going because I know that literally I think next month, May and June, is like a big expansion moment in my career, in my self expression, and just a lot of things in my life. And I know that a transit that I'm going through right now is Jupiter's in my 12th house, which is kind of it's the house that rules kind of like your inner world, and you're kind of in a quieter period of life. And Jupiter's been there for a while. Um, and I also have my progressed moon in Scorpio, which I don't want to get into too much detail about that. But basically, that's been there for the last couple of years. And it's very, Scorpio is an intense sign. So I've kind of been going through a massive change behind the scenes. and just looking how those planets are moving and changing in the next few months. If I didn't keep going, then I wouldn't be ready for these next big, huge energy shifts in my astrology chart. But yeah, I don't
Love
know if that covered it all, but
Yes, it did. Well, and I'm curious too, you're like, well, based on my, astrological chart, I'm meant to be showing the experience of things. And that's how I sell and how I get people on board. And that is actually true in your human design too, because you're a conscious line 6. So you actually, the more that you can lead by experiencing with life, is how people are going to be like, oh, I know that you've been there, done that. I trust you to bring me to the end. Right. And so for someone who's listening, what are some key planets or houses or signs to look at to know how to show up in a way that is in alignment to who they are naturally?
um, well, obviously, I think looking at your first house, your rising sign, this is just I like to say it's like your aura.
Oh, wait,
It's
I love that. I love
it's like
that.
the energy that, like, it just comes off of you and people can feel it. I think that's a good way to explain it. Um, and yeah, I mean, if you have a lot of planets in that first house, then obviously that energy of that sign is supposed to really come out in your work. Um, and then another one would be wherever your Venus and Mercury planets are placed, um, because Mercury is how you communicate. And if you're marketing or sharing anything on social media, you're going to want to look at where Mercury is in your chart to see the energy that you're working with that works best for you. Venus is your self-worth, your values, your money, your aesthetics. So I think that's a really good one to look at as well. Um, and then let's see.
Let's do mine because now I'm curious. Okay. So I'm a Libra rising in the first house and Libra moon in the first house. And Taurus, or sorry, not Taurus. I'm Libra.
Mhm.
Those are the two activated.
I have my rising and moon in the same house as well. And I think when you have your moon in the same place as your rising, that how you feel on the inside is how you present yourself on the outside. So
Isn't
you
that
kind of
great?
wear your emotions on your sleeve. Like people, you can't really hide.
I know, it's like, maybe that's why I have to run my own business because I just can't play politics. I'm like, I'm just not gonna play it.
Yeah, and I think honestly, when I first kind of came across to see how you are, and you talked about how you had the Libra moon and rising, I was like, that makes so much sense because you seem like such a connector or like a person that's just friends with everyone. You're just like attract all these people to you and these groups to you. And I think, Libras are just so good at that. They're just, I guess, popular. They're so popular.
I'm the cool girl.
Yeah. And they just have so many friends and they're just so just easy and charming to be around, I think.
How would that
Um,
translate to, like, showing up on social media? Is it like being besties with people online and being like, "Hey," like talking at camera? Like, what's a practical action for me?
well, Libras they are kind of like people who see both sides of things, so I do think it's kind of like being someone's bestie, but also not like you're like, "Oh, yes, I totally agree with you," but also this is something you should look at. So, like, kind of being their friend in a way where you're, like, agreeing with them, but you're also showing them the other side of things. So I think that is a good way to show up for sure. And I think what's your Mercury?
Taurus
Okay.
in the 8th house.
Taurus, I think the best way for them to market and communicate their services and who they are and what they do is just by having like some sort of structure or grounded presence. I think that's really important. I'm trying to think of what that could look like. But Tauruses are very like earthy material realm. So I think, having some sort of material in the way you show up or something that people can like something tangible that people can touch. I think Taurus is all about yeah, just really connecting to the material world. And then Libra is, I think, that bestie part of you for sure. I'm trying to think of like super specific things on the spot, but it's sometimes so hard.
I know, I was like, "Oops, didn't prep you for this," but I was like, "Oh, we might as well see how it can be practically,
Yeah, like I'm trying to like, okay, let's channel what I think. But
and then last one is Venus in Aries. I know.
yeah, I think Venus kind of more comes across in your aesthetics, I think, for sure, like how you dress. I don't think that's the only planet that tells you how you dress because my Venus is in Virgo and I don't feel like I dress like a Virgo. um, but I am very drawn to like nature and flowers and things like that. And that's very Virgo. But within Aries, I think just being like this powerful presence. Like I honestly see it in the way you dress. Like you're just so like you enter a room and everyone like looks. And I think that's very Aries. It's like they're like spicy.
I l Also my, I think it's, like, just recently turned online, like, that passion fiery
Yeah.
fury, like,
Passionate.
outwardly, because 'cause I'm wearing a lot of red these days, and I'm like, "It's my new brand color, I'm just red. It's just red. It's just red."
If I was doing your branding, I would probably pick red.
Yeah, and I do have red. I was like when I was creating the brand for Design to Be Human 2 years ago even, I was like, "There has to be this tomato red," and I was like, "I literally don't know how this looks," and then it turned
Like,
into
I
all
don't know why.
pants and whatnot, and then as soon as I changed my name to Sasha, it was like, the red exists
Mm.
somewhere in my palette. It was wild. It was
Yeah.
so
When
wild.
I think of Aries, I think of red. So I think
Yeah,
that makes sense for Venus for sure.
me too.
Um, but yeah, I mean, that's my terrible on the spot reading, but
I'm just
um,
setting people up to promote your cosmic identity field thing.
yay.
Um, so I wanted to talk about in the intake form, you talked about a belief that you're shifting, an identity that you're shifting about working your fucking ass off to like prove your worthiness or like prove that you're successful. I would love to talk a little bit more about that. And before we hop into like your iteration or like your experience with that, I want to say you have an open ego center. So this is actually one of the like major shadows that you will face in this lifetime. So I love that you brought that through in the intake form. So, yeah, I would love to hear how are you shifting that belief system? Because I think a lot of us do really struggle with that, especially millennials who were raised when we were raised, and that's just how life was then to like now we have all the Gen Zers and they're like making millions of dollars online being like, "Hey, I'm cute. Pay me money." You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Um, well, a lot of millennials have a lot of Capricorn in their charts. I think from 1989 to like 1993, there's like every millennial has a Capricorn stellium of some
I
sort.
do have a yeah, I have a stellium in my 4th.
So, so I will say, I think that mindset about working really hard and then you'll be rewarded for your efforts kind of lives in a lot of us as millennials. But for me, I have Saturn in Capricorn in my sixth house, which is your house of daily work, wellness, your body, how you live your life day to day. So with Saturn and Capricorn there, basically I am a workaholic and I will work until I fall over pretty much. Um, and I used to believe that if I just, work harder and post more and do more things, then it will correlate to money and things coming in and success. But I definitely have worked myself to complete burnout. I've booked my calendar, fully booked, and I've had to cancel on things because I got sick. And um, I have been learning in the last few years that it's really important to regulate my nervous system and make time for myself. So, one thing I've been doing is just thinking about how I think money for me is tied to self worth and self love because I have Venus in my second house, and Venus is all about self love and self worth. And it just really got me thinking, oh, if I want the success and the money and all the things, I need to take care of myself. I need to love who I am more. And I think that starts with, waking up in the morning and instead of going straight to my desk with my pajamas on, I actually take some time and do breath work or I do EFT tapping, which I love, just to kind of like calm the fuck down because I usually wake up and I'm just like all over the place and ready to go with it being a self-proclaimed ADHD person. I'm not diagnosed, but I'm self-diagnosed. But yeah, just, I wake up in the morning, my mind's going a million miles an hour. And the first thing I need to do is just like, yeah, calm down and take care of myself. And I also started getting ready in the morning. I've had a feeling for my whole life being an entrepreneur who works from home. What's the point of putting makeup on and getting ready when I could just be working and I'm not leaving my house? So, um, obviously I wanted to change that because I feel so much better and good about myself and more confident. And then I'll, show up on camera because I'll like feel like I look nice that day. So I've been practicing doing that as well. Um, and putting on less ugly pajamas. I still just wear my leggings to work, let's be real. But um and then yeah, I do a lot of walking. Go out in nature and I do a lot of daily walks and around 11 to like 2 p.m. I kind of like crash out from work and I'm like I think I need to shift the energy and I think going on a walk and moving your body and being outside really like can change your whole mindset and like outlook on things. So I try to do that every day. And just doing those things really has helped me change that belief that I, need to work my ass off. I need to work like 17 hours a day.
Gosh. You
So,
also don't have the energy to do that based off of your chart, you psychopath.
yeah.
Well, I love that it's actually you turn self-care and self-ritual on to then move away from this, like, working your ass off because there's something to that energetically too, right? Because if you are coming from, this, like, lower energy, you're gonna be creating services and products that aren't like they're gonna be like blah. Like, if you're blah about creating something, they're gonna be blah about viewing it, seeing it, engaging in it, right?
Yeah,
And if you're like lit
exactly.
up and you're taking care of yourself and you're just like magnetic and you're glowing and you're just like all over the place in like a grounded way, obviously. People are gonna be like, what is she on? What is she about? Talking with conviction. You're like, who are you? There's like an energy, right? It's like when you can hold a higher level of energy, either people are just not gonna resonate with you or they're just gonna be like, who are you?
Yeah.
Right? So I think that there's something so profound about and kind of radical about like actually why don't you just go for a walk instead of like work on that client project that should have been done like 2 days ago, right?
Yeah. Or like spiraling and ruminating about, I don't know, this client hasn't paid their invoice yet, or I don't know. And then like laying on the floor and like freaking out. And then you're like, maybe I just need to chill the fuck out and go for a walk. And honestly, every time I do, I come back and I feel like $1,000,000. Like I feel so much better. Um, so I don't know. I love doing all of those things and I feel like they are so important, equally as important. So I try to integrate that into my everyday life, even though it's hard for me.
I love that. I mean,
That's one of
also
my challenges with my Saturn being there.
right. Yeah, I agree. There's also so much like I love how it's like you're literally putting yourself in new environments, to, like reshift your energy again to like come back and being like, okay, this is what's actually important. It's not about the amount of work that gets done; it's about the quality of work that gets done. And I think that's like something really important, important too. And then I wanted to talk about you are no longer available to play small. Oh, tell us more about this new belief system that has come online for you. Or maybe it's always been online, you tell me.
I think I don't know, I've wanted to do cosmic identity coaching for a very long time, and I always just kind of was playing small. I wasn't, like, showing my face or putting in the most minimal effort, and so, last year it was around the time I did the Wild, Well, and Wealthy, like, when I went to the first one, I was starting to show up on social media more, and I was like, "I am gonna be this is I'm gonna as an astrologer, and I'm gonna really, like, claim this. And I started doing these Instagram challenges, like these 30-day challenges, and I don't know, something just sparked in me where I was like, "I'm fucking over this." Like, I just want to show up and share my life and do the things I wanna do and stop being a little bitch, basically. 'Cause I'd be like, "Well, I don't like how I look because 'cause I've gained some weight and I haven't lost it yet, and, I don't really like my hair right now." Just kind of like a lot of these things going on in my head, and that's why I wasn't really showing up on social media, and it was just so many just silly little things, I don't know. Just the like, these all these excuses you make for yourself to keep you small and safe, and yeah, I pretty much just started doing these challenges, started showing my face more, and stopped giving a fuck about what my friends and family would think, if they would think I was a weirdo for being an astrologer, and because that was also on my mind too. I was like, "Are people gonna think I'm just delusional or stupid for starting this new career?" Um, and yeah, I just was just feeling ready, and I think last year going through a lot of grief, just that is just like an initiation into being more yourself and just, like, not really caring anymore about all that stuff. And I still do, but I just kind of I don't know, like, I started posting reels with no makeup on and just no filters and talking to the camera and yeah, I don't know.
Has that been feeling? Has anything
It's been feeling really good. I really, really enjoy it. I recently started a 30-day I'm calling it a 30-day yapping challenge because the last challenges I was doing, I was actually using ChatGPT and AI to help me, like, come up with hooks or, like, what to say, and I just felt like my voice was kind of getting lost in, you know, AI. And I think people are kind of just tired of seeing people's captions or whatever, everything written in AI because I think so many people use it now that you can kind of pattern recognize the way it sounds no matter what. So I was like, I need to, like, trust myself again and listen to my voice and just trust that whatever comes to me in that moment is what is needed to be said, and I don't need to edit it. I mean, I still edit my videos because I tend to ramble. Um, and yeah, but I pretty much just set the camera down and just start talking about whatever I wanna talk about.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I love that too because with the performer
it's a
channel
good
that you
experiment.
have, as long as you're in a good mood,
Yeah.
you can show up and, like, be that charming whatever
Mhm.
thing that you need to be and really speaking because it's just connected to your emotional center too, so it's, like, really speaking into, like, what is the emotional presence of the now? Like, why are you lit up by the thing that you're talking about? And just really honoring whatever that emotional wave is in the moment, especially if you're in a good mood. So I love that
Yeah.
you're
That's why content strategies, like, do not work for me. I've never been able to, like, plan out my posts in advance.
yeah.
So, I literally just do off the cuff and post them in the moment. I don't plan everything out.
Yeah, I love
If
and
it
you're a
works for me
manifester. Yeah, and you're a manifester, so that makes sense too. Lindsay, my other manifestor friend, is also like, I'm not going she's just if she wants to, she'll do a few and then put them in drafts and then she'll post
Yeah,
them later, but it's like, "Oh, if I'm showing up every day, I'm just gonna show up and, like, add some text or, like, do
yeah.
a voiceover," which I
Yeah, and one of the things that's really hard for me is what you said about how I have to be in a good mood.
mhm.
So, I'm an
Yes.
emotional human being, a very emotional. I think I'm dramatically emotional because I have a Leo moon.
Yeah,
So, if I'm not in a good mood, everyone will feel it and everyone will know.
yes.
So I can't hide my emotions, and I also have such a I don't know if this is a manifestor thing, but I feel like my energy, like, I don't know, shoves people over. So if I'm, like, in a bad mood, it'll, like, change the room. Or if I'm in a really good mood, it'll change, like, the vibe of the party.
Mhm. Yep. Yep,
So,
exactly.
I don't know.
So just,
I
like,
just
yeah, having
know my energy so well that when I'm not in a good space, I, like, remove myself and I have alone time and I, will take weeks off from social media because I'm like, it's not it.
yeah, no, and you, like, don't force yourself to create when you're in a mood like that
Yeah.
either.
No. And then yeah, it's just bad. It's all around bad.
So I would actually love to hear more about this cosmic identity coaching. if you want to just kind of like talk about what is it? Like how is that different from like me hiring another business coach, or like what is your like the cherry on top for you? Like what is your secret sauce with this cosmic identity coaching?
Well, I have been a brand designer since 2014. So, one thing that I actually love about brand design and the work that I do is I was always doing the creative direction and the strategy part of the design. And then my husband does like all of the actual design part of it. And I started using astrology with branding. And I just really enjoyed because a lot of my clients in our design business were personal brands. They're people who their brand is who they are. So it's kind of harder to brand a person versus like, a brick and mortar business that sells sushi, you know?
Totally.
And I just really enjoyed, I don't know, like analyzing someone and really seeing things that they didn't see about themselves. I thought that was the most fun thing ever. Um, and so I think that led to me I used to do, it was called Cosmic Brand Strategy that I did in our design business. And pretty much just built an entire brand strategy for them based on their astrology chart. And that kind of led into this business now, Cosmic Identity Coach, because I want to help people. Because one thing I've noticed about creating these beautiful, amazing brands for my clients is I will make it for them, but then they don't feel like they're ready for it, and then they don't use it because they need to like turn into this different version of themselves. And so I had a lot of clients that actually like, didn't use their brands because they like actually weren't ready for this massive up level of who they are. They like had this internal identity process they had to go through. And so I created this cosmic identity coaching because I wanted to integrate the astrology, the branding, and then the deeper identity self belief work. And just, like, turning into that person that you can see, but you just, like, "I can't I can't reach her yet." And then I just use astrology as that kind of, like, underlying grounding piece throughout all of it, so it's not me, like, telling you all these strategies that worked for me and, like, "You should do your membership or courses this way because that's how I did it." It's like, I help people just, like, trust themselves again, and the astrology is that piece that kind of holds it all, and then I use, um, like, EFT tapping to help people just release fears or, um, identities that they don't want to hold on to anymore, so it's just there's a lot of, like, things moving parts to it. It's like branding, identity, and astrology, and it's just, like, all comes together. But yeah.
That's awesome.
That's why I called it cosmic identity coaching.
We should probably get into the details of what that actually means. So I love that.
But that's
Or
pretty much what it means. Like, the cosmic is astrology, the identity is like that deep identity change for you to actually like be the person you want to be and actually live by your design, your cosmic design. And then coaching is like, me encouraging and being there for you and pushing you and motivating you to actually do the things you want to do. I think one of the best things about me as a person, and I think all my friends would say this about me, is I really like push people and motivate them to do big things. Like I've helped a lot of my friends start businesses. I'm always that person people go to when they're kind of looking for someone to push them and lift them up and motivate them to believe in themselves and to believe that everything's gonna work out for them and just kind of be that positive light.
yeah, I mean, I think we need that resilience. We need that resilience, especially running our own businesses. So I love that you have that natural energy to do that. And that's so needed. I feel like so many people are just sitting and waiting, and you're kind of this like initiator, this activator for other people, which is like so important.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I definitely initiate for sure and sometimes not even intentionally.
I love that. Well, we're gonna start wrapping up, but I love to ask this question at the end of all interviews. So if someone were to really know you, what would they need to know about you?
Well, I have a massive tarot card collection. Actually, I have a lot of collections. I've got a lot of pens. I've got a lot of books. I like to build little Lego piece sets, and I like to paint. I'm actually starting to create my own oracle card deck, the process of that.
Yes.
My husband and I like to play video games together. We play Stardew Valley. I don't know. I don't know how to answer this. I love EDM music. I definitely grew up in the most ideal time to be a 20-year-old and went to the best EDM shows ever. Um, I don't know. I feel like that's such a hard question.
Like, if someone really knew you, they would know that you have a lot of collections of things and you love to play video games and you love EDM music.
Yes. And I'm also a badass and I love to mountain bike.
Oh, I didn't know that. I love that.
It's one of my favorite things. It just makes me feel like such a fucking badass when I do it. I love biking. I love just, yeah, being outside. I like snowboarding. I used to like rock climbing, but I don't really like it anymore because it messes up your nails and your hand.
And finally, what are you up to in the world? What are you working on right now? What do people need to know and how can they work with you?
Sorry, I have to cough. Well, right now I have 2 offers. The first thing is my Cosmic Field Guide, which is a brand and business audit through the lens of your astrology chart. So it's a beautifully designed guide because I'm a designer, and it just kind of really shows you the best way you can market your business, the best way for you to make money, the best way for you to brand yourself, what you're here to do, some of the challenges and struggles that you face, how you show up and sell, like kind of answers all those questions. And then it comes with a one on one call so that you can ask, once you read the guide, you can ask me anything you want, which I think is really nice because sometimes reading all this stuff about yourself, you're like, well, what do I do with it? And then I have a one-on-one coaching offer that's a 3-month long offer, and it's called Force of Nature. So pretty much all the things that we talk about in the Cosmic Field Guide, we actually like bring them to life and use your astrology chart to actually build your business and your brand and your offers. And then we also do that identity shift during the process so that when you create this whole new identity, you can actually, feel aligned with it and it's not so far off from who you are. So it's kind of like a journey and a process to a big pivot or change or shift in your career. So pretty much it's like what I went through for myself, but now I'm doing it for others.
Love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
then how can people reach you? Where can they find you?
You can follow me on Instagram. Hey, it's Lexi Cheng. And then all my handles are Hey, it's Lexi Cheng. Hey, it's LexiCheng.com. All of them. Um, and I also have a podcast called Wildflower Wisdom.
We love it. We love it. And you're reinvigorating that again, correct?
Yes. Well, I've been very consistent with it this year, but I kind of took a break for the last few weeks. So I'm just now wanting to have some guests on there. Um, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lexi, for being on the pod. We love to have you. And I hope everyone had a great time. And we'll talk
Yay. Thank you for having me.